Hello everybody, my name is Amit and I welcome you all to our YouTube channel Aptitude360.online. Today we have a personality I am in touch with for last 10 years. He was my senior in my business school. He was the one who actually taught me the power of subconscious mind. Before that, I did not know how my mind would work. So we did some certain projects with him, and during the seminar, he taught us how your mind would work, how you can take this to the second level and all. So probably I might not be knowing much, but he's the one who has been doing it for last 10 years. He does with corporates, he does with students, he does with so many people all across India. So Avinash Bhaiya, I call him Avinash Bhaiya, Avinash sir. So I call Avinash Bhaiya, Bhaiya, you're most welcome to this show. The objective of this video is we would like to float it amongst parents. They would come to realize through this video as to how they should train their children. Because most of the time I get this question, my child is weak in mathematics, my child is not good enough, my child cannot crack this examination, he is not as good as Sharma beta or something. So I would like you to focus upon those certain aspects where because my feeling is parents should be taught more in this direction than that of the children, right? So over to you, Bhaiya, and let us see how whenever I will feel necessary, I'll keep asking questions from you.
Sure. Thank you, Amit. Thank you for inviting. It is a pleasure to be here. And also, congrats for the work you have done. I think education, and especially today when people run behind jobs, somebody like you, bright and talented, choosing to go into education, right? It's a remarkable thing. And I think that's what will change our country as such as well. So, Amit, I'll give you certain perspective because for me also, I was not a very good student in maths. I was managed to get passing marks, right? And but today, my work revolves around connecting science and ancient wisdom. And as a part of my work, I'm very interested in reading about neuroscience, about quantum physics, different complex things. And today I realized that something which I used to hate uh, till my class 10, 12, mathematics as a paper. And today when I have to maybe read through a paper or through a study, which involves math, I don't feel that hesitant, right? So I see why this is a change like this, no? And I realize that the mistake, what we have been through, and I think it's the first, so there are few mistakes I see in a system we have right now, the education system, right? And then maybe I'll come to some specific questions you have. The first mistake we do is that we we don't see education, the entire system of education, it doesn't honor kids with their talent, right? What happens is the system is designed in a way which puts everybody on the same parameter to test, right? Now, for example, when I did not do well in maths or English for that matter, the label which I received was you're an average student, average marks in the school,
Right.
in the paper, you're an average kid, right? But that has nothing to do with as a person what I can do in my life because I had certain other talents, right? So first I think people need to understand not everybody is built for maths or science or for arts or music or cricket, right? People have to explore what is their talent, gift, or natural inclination towards, right? Either you have a gift in that area or you're very interested in that area, so you can put any amount of effort to learn something like this, right? So I think the first mistake people do is they think, okay, my son, because I love maths, I love engineering, my son has to go through it. And I think that's the first mistake we carry out. We don't see the child, what is the inner gift the child has, right? And you have to really spend time to explore that part, right? Number one. So it's like, imagine you're putting 5 candidates for examination, maybe a monkey, a fish, elephant, a tiger, and maybe a lion. And you say, the test is go through climbing a tree. Let's see who comes the first. Now, monkey would be first. Now the schooling system would say, elephant, tiger, lion, you're average people, average students, because monkey is a topper. But that's not a right valuation. No, the parameter is not same for everybody. If you take the water, the fish should be number one. So first mistake I think is people have to understand, the parents have to understand what is your natural gift for the kid in terms of career choices in a way. Number two, when it comes to things like maths, I realized why I did not learn maths well in my schooling days. So one was obviously my mind was not that sharp in say in the part of logical thinking or rationalize all of those areas, mathematical abilities, right? But the second biggest factor was the kind of pressure and fear which was around from the school, from the teacher as such. I always found teachers of mathematics very fearful, right? You
Mm.
cannot even ask. I remember still my school days. You cannot even ask a question to that teacher, right? Because okay, so maths is difficult. On top of it, you have a teacher, you have a faculty who is also of that kind of in a way that kind of behavior. So parents puts a lot of pressure on the kid, right? Now this pressure, how it comes in, it comes comes in number one, with the words you speak to the kid.
Mhm.
When you constantly say you are not doing well in maths, you're not doing well in English, you're not doing well in this, well in that. Now, what you're doing is, now we have enough science to even understand this clearly.
Correct.
When you say those statements to a kid, you are simply implanting a lot of thoughts in the mind of the kid, right?
Yes.
Today, when we recall back our childhood, two things we can recall easily. One, all the good things happen in life, all the good words my teacher said, my parents said, one. And second, all the bad words they said,
Right.
all the shouting and the scolding. So those two remains in the mind, and mostly we end up having the bad things more prominently in the mind, right? So I think parents have to realize what kind of words they're using with a kid. No, and those words becomes the limitation which stops the kids from having even the joy and the zeal to go through and learn something faster. Now if you see here, before I now come back to you on the for the questions, if you see, when do we learn faster, right? When do we learn faster? Now I was reading a research paper on happiness, right? Today we have tremendous research on happiness, that how happiness is the next hack for productivity. So when they researched the area of happiness, there are more than 200 studies done, so meta studies, right, combining all these studies together. They found people who are more happy, they learn more faster. And
Mm.
why so? So in learning, the two critical neurotransmitters, or simply like chemicals which are important for the brain, right? One is dopamine, and second is serotonin, right? Now what happens is, when you're happy, it's like all the learning switch in the brain gets active, right?
Right.
Now brain is now primed to learn anything very, very faster. Whereas when you come to fear, what happens is, fear is primarily activation of what we call as the amygdala, emotional center in the brain. So
Mm.
in the fear, the thinking brain, which is the front part of the brain, the forebrain, the neocortex, right? The thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, gets shut down. Now, this brain is the thinking brain. So when you're in fear, your mind stops working. You are from the instinctive response now. So what happens in a maths examination? You go to examination and you don't know two questions. You are feeling fearful and panic, and the mind shuts down. Whatever you knew now, you're not able to recall it also, right? So today,
Correct.
if you see education, what we have missed is we have brought a lot of fear in the learning process.
Mm.
But with fear, learning will not happen. What is the most prime state in which you can learn things faster? Which is happiness, which is joy.
Correct.
So if you
Correct.
put enough of joy, happiness in the learning process,
Right.
any kid can learn anything faster. And that's why the greatest teacher we had are the people who knew how to make learning fun, and which I think the
Yeah,
element we have missed today.
yeah, that's one thing that I'm actually fighting with is I get students who are grown up who have done their graduation and then they come for CAT preparation or UPSC preparation. And when I enter the classroom, I tell them mathematics is very easy. That is what you have to trust.
Yes.
Uh, they say that okay, sir, for an hour or something, if you motivate us to believe that mathematics is simple, let us start with it, right? They start with it, but for a few days it's very good. But when we continue with the course, some of them would say that it's very difficult for me. And when I try to teach them the power of affirmation and tell your brain that math, it's not you're not very bad at mathematics, rather say that I am learning mathematics very well. I learned this today very well. But they say that these affirmations are not working for them. So maybe because for n number of years they have told their brain that I am not good in mathematics. Now somebody is telling, and for 15-20 days this person is trying to teach them that tell your brain do the affirmation that you're very good with it. But most of them would come and tell me that we are fighting with ourselves. Our inner self is telling us that you're not good. Now you're the one who is telling that you could be good, you are good. So my point is, how should I address this particular problem when I'm dealing with students? And how can I elaborate more so that I could convince them? Because what happens is, I know children, I know that they're not getting convinced, and over a period of time they will leave the course, they will leave this examination, and they'll go back to their
Mm.
places, which I don't
Yeah.
want. So how
Yeah.
should I tackle this one?
Okay. Now, look, Amit, what happens is things like affirmation works, right? No doubt about it. But you also find people who say, I've tried, it didn't work for me. No. Now, what happens is, look, anything to work has two parts to it. One is the part of application, right? Like doing the affirmation, doing the visualization, right? But that part will not be very effective until you know exactly why this works, right? So if the science is not known, the tool will not be applicable faster, or it will not give a result faster. So give me 2 minutes to explain you a bit in short how this exactly works out. In US, a team of researcher, they interviewed some mates who works in the hotel. So they got all the mates and they divide into two categories, group one, group two, and both having 15, 20 mate, hotel staff, the mates in different categories, different groups. Now, to the first group, the researcher said that the amount of work you do in a day's time, going up, going down, cleaning the rooms, the washrooms, they say the amount of effort you put in a day's time, that is the amount of effort or exercise recommended by the doctors for a normal person to be healthy and fit, right? So this information was planted to these people. The second group was said nothing. They said, just do whatever you are doing in a way, right? Now, after 1 month, and group one, who was planted the information that the amount of effort you're putting every day is sufficient for your healthy body, they did not do anything else apart from it. But after a month's time, when the researcher interviewed back these people, they found the group one, whom the information was planted, they end up improving in all the parameters to the extent of losing physical weight as well. Whereas
Mhm.
group two had no change at all. Now, group one did not go for gym, did not go for running, nothing at all.
Mhm.
Just implanting the knowledge that we have a scientific study that what you do is enough for you to be healthy, change the result. So now what happens with maths is things like affirmation or things like any tools like this, if you tell people to simply practice without knowing the exact know-how,
Yes.
they
Yes.
don't put much effort into. They start with a half thing, already lost the battle. They say, okay, let's do it for the sake of it, right? Now, if you see a child, let's go to a bit of a childhood, right? Now, so to understand this concept, let's understand the mind in a way, the conscious and the subconscious, right? So imagine the mind to be one complete 100% mind, right? One, say, kind of ball, right? The brain we have here. Now, divide this into two parts, right? But the two parts is not an actual representation, because the subconscious would be around 90% of the brain, and the conscious is around 10% of the brain, right? Now, when the child is born, for 7 to 8 years, right, the child only work out from the subconscious. There's the conscious mind, the thinking logical mind is not developed, right? So what is the conscious mind? The thought mind, the thinking mind, which we use today to talk to people to understand things, right? But 90% of the mind is the subconscious. Now, for the first 7 year, a child doesn't have a conscious mind. What a child has is only the subconscious mind. And let's
Correct.
see how the subconscious works out, right? That the subconscious mind primarily is a mind of habits. Any habit you have is in subconscious. It is also a mind of emotion. So the two things here, the subconscious is a mind of habit plus emotion. Every emotion you feel is subconscious. Every thought is a conscious. So habit and emotion works very, very closely. Now, see a child. A child tries to walk. Now, for the child, is the walking first day is easy? No. Child tries to walk, get up, he falls down. Try to get up, falls down. It happens many, many, many times, right? Then child starts crawling, and then slowly, after a month or so, you finally see the child started what? Walking in a way, right? Now, if you notice the brain of a child, what is happening, right? When the child tried for the first time, we have more than 100 billion nerve cells in the brain, 100, more than 100 billion, right? And each nerve cell can connect to around 10,000 different cells together, right? Now, there is a simple law in neuroscience about the brain, which is called as the Hebb's law, H-E-B-B, Hebb's law, which says the neurons which fire together wire together, right? So what happens is when you're trying to do something for the first time, in your brain, two neurons comes together and tries to connect, right? So
Right.
this connection is what learning is all about, right? So when the child tried to walk for the first time, some neurons came together. Second time, some came together. But in the entire process, as a mother or father, you're saying, yes, well done. You were celebrating every small improvement the child was showing or even not showing. You were celebrating that moment, right?
Right.
You did not say, "Okay, what stupid you are. You are day one, you cannot even walk." You did not say that statement, right?
Right.
Now, the child felt encouragement, what we call as dopamine got released in the brain. Now, when that emotion was here and the child was putting an effort, smiling, trying to do more, he's falling down, he's getting hurt, still getting up. Now, that process eventually made the nerve cells come together in a strong connection. Now, that is what we call as a habit. Once the connection has become stronger in the brain, the habit is formed. Now, the beauty is, like walking, like driving, like talking, once you learn the skill, right? Once you learn the skill, next time you only have to think about it and you can do the skill. You can simply walk or talk or drive the vehicle, right? Now, what happens with people? For the entire lifetime, they have been taught maths is fair.
Right.
They have been taught you are not able to do this. Look at your marks. You are all failure. Dad is shouting. Mom is shouting. Now you are trying to, you are having currently billions of connection in the brain, which is all negative. I can't do this. This is difficult. I can't do this. Is difficult. I can't do this. Is difficult. And now you're trying to do an affirmation to fight with 100 billion connections. Not possible. Because this is such a tiny effort with a large programming which you have been through.
Correct.
So what first thing what is required from us is understanding, and today this is what the science is talking about, that the brain is plastic. Before, people believe that once the brain is developed by till age 21, you can't change the brain. But
Yes.
in 1990, a scientist called as Dr. Michael Mergenich, he said, no, the brain is plastic. You can learn or unlearn anything any point of time in your life, right? So the connections we have formed up, scientifically, we know the connections can also be broken apart. It is as simple as this. Like, no, today we use so much of typing on the laptop or mobile. Once I had to write a letter and I saw my handwriting became such horrible. I was like, this was not my handwriting. I realized my brain, the connections of handwriting is now breaking apart because I'm not using the skill. So if you don't use the skill, you lose the connection away, right? So first step to know is the belief you're holding about yourself on that area. If you deeply believe I'm not good in maths, an affirmation may not help it. You have to first understand what you believe is nothing but a brain connection. That's what a thought is all about, right? So once you understand that this thought connection can be broken apart, and when you know this as a fact, then you know, okay, this is a technique, it works faster, right? So what step people have to follow here is number one. First, they have to change the conversation they have inside their mind or what belief they hold inside. Now, affirmation is a good way of changing. But what happens is, because affirmation is a thought, and the subconscious we know only works on two things, habits or emotions. Now, affirmation is a thought which only stays in conscious mind. It doesn't go in subconscious until that affirmation is mixed with emotion. That's one of the ways. So you see, if I ask you, Ahmed, tell me where you were when 9/11 happened, the plane crash in US. Where did you get the news? Do you remember right now?
I do remember.
So 9/11 you remember, right? When I ask you, Amit, tell where you were on 15th 11. Do you remember? 18th 11. Do you remember? No. Why 9/11? Something happened which moved you emotionally, right? So any affirmation, if you want it to work,
Yes.
it has to accompany a positive emotion. Either a one, that's the one of the ways, or else you have to put this affirmation when your logical mind is not active, which is 15 to 10 minutes before the sleep in the night, or just waking up. So that those are the two ways through which you can insert a belief. Now, when people say, "Oh, maths is easy," but a part of them says, "But I don't feel it. I feel maths is difficult." Yes, because the feeling is what you have learned in your childhood till now,
Right.
right? So to change the feeling is the key. Now, so what do I say to people? I say, don't do plain affirmation. Don't do that. I say, what you do is open the maths book in front of you, right? If like I'm coaching a student possibly, I say open a maths book, or even just put up a good music in the room, the music which you love to dance, and start dancing for 2 3 5 minutes. And the music which literally puts you in a high state, right? Then when you're dancing, when you're feeling, I'm feeling very happy and joyful, then you start saying, maths is super easy. I love maths. Then you hold the maths book in your hand and then dance in that state. So you're simply putting the entire body in a very high rush of positive chemicals and then planting the thought in the brain that maths is easy, maths is joyful. But if you do just sitting, maths is easy, a part of you would say, whom are you fooling, dude? Look at your marks, you have not done. So your logical mind will become your own enemy. So you have to bypass the logical mind. That's the thing.
What I'm getting out of this entire communication is, if somebody is not very good with mathematics, it is not his or her fault. Maybe it is collective fault of parents and teachers and society at large. And if somebody will have to be taught the way you said, that somebody will have to be taught that there is love for the subject, then there are the outcome from the subject. Uh, having
I mean, there are no bad students. There are only bad teachers.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we cannot blame any student. Take a student, one of my friend, and I'm sure I know even you are very good in maths. I know. No, give me a student, and I put you to either my friend or you. You can transform those kids. So the same kid who was labeled as an average kid, how can you guys then make them so smart? It's not about a student being bad. It's about the person, the parents, the teacher, what belief they put inside the kid's mind. That's the key.
I will have to mention one case over here. If I would not do that, this would not do the justice. Uh, People ask me, how come you say that? Because even my Facebook thing would say that mad for mathematics. And this is, how can you proclaim that you're mad for mathematics? I said, I'm not doing it for today. It's like 15, 20 years it has been. And I have been telling my brain that I love mathematics. So this is how. I said that maybe I might have got some fantastic teachers. And this is where I got one teacher there in Allahabad when I was preparing for my IIT JEE. And before our JEE examination, some 2 weeks back, this teacher got jaundice, and doctors recommended him to take bed rest, but he did not do that. What did he say is, I have my 500 children, they are going to write their examination, so my bed rest is not very important, and I am not cooking it up. This person came and taught us in our classroom for revision classes, and he died before the examination. He died.
Oh my God.
And this event shook me to the core, and I told myself that now probably this has to be our mission, to reach out to as many people as possible and tell them that mathematics is something that can be taught, like my teacher has taught me. So I am actually blessed to have those teachers. So yes, you are very right when you say that there are no bad students, there are always bad teachers. So this teacher, he is no more, but then he inspired me to reach out to I would say that millions of students, teach them. And whenever I get a result from my students, whenever somebody gets selected, I go to a room and I say that, thank you sir, just because of you I could do that. So yes, he is
Yeah.
right. Avinash, if you remember, during college, you taught us one line. I still remember that line. I still utilize that line whenever I am in a situation of dilemma. That line says that uh, between your desire and your imagination always wins. It's always the case. So
Yep.
it does not matter what you want. What does matter
Yeah.
is, can you imagine what do you want? And
Right.
one line that probably Pele sir taught us, and then I still use it: everything has to be happening twice. First in your brain and second in reality. First in your brain and second in
Yes.
reality. If
Yes.
something is not happening in your brain, it is not going to happen in reality. So that is
Right.
what I try to convey to my students. But here my question is, uh, the way I said that between desire and imagination, your imagination always is going to win. Now how to create a balance between these two, so that they have a realistic vision. Sometimes I get students, they would come to me and they say that I want to prepare for this examination. In my heart I know that they should not be doing it. They're not doing justice to the money that they're spending upon. They're not doing justice to 1 year that they will be spending here. But as a teacher, maybe I should not be demotivating them. But how should I create a balance between these two when I say that there has to be a correlation between your desire and your imagination?
Right.
So,
Okay.
the
So
way
look,
it's
Amit,
like somebody says
yeah.
that I want to become an IAS officer. But
Hmm.
when you sit for them for 5 years and I say that no, there is no preparations, like it won't happen in next 3 4 years. So how should
Right.
I help those students?
Mm. That's where I think, what happens is a lot of time, personally, what I have experienced in my experience, a lot of people, they genuinely don't see what they really want to do. What happens is they're influenced by the people around, and especially the pressure of the family, right? So most people, when they're going for an examination or this, because the parents' pressure from the back is so heavy, so strong, right? Like for me, my parents wanted me to go to a government job or do something like this, but I chose to a different line because I felt, look, I can only excel in something which I love to do, which I really want to do. If I want to do something, no obstacle can stop me. I can move through any obstacle, right? But
Correct.
most people, what they do is, and this is the unfortunate part of our society, we still are so much burdened by the expectation of people around us, right? So I think, whoever is listening today, the parents, I think what is important is, if you really want to do justice to the kids' future or people around you, one step is ask them to explore what is that they want to do, right? Now once I figure out, okay, these are two things I want to carry out, then the question comes in of skill, how strongly I can develop the skill to really excel at this at something, right? But I think before even that, choosing the right options by exploring multiple options is the key. But most people, they are trying to live the life of somebody else, who have tried
Right.
to live the life of
Right.
somebody
Yes.
else,
Yes.
and who have tried to live the life of somebody else.
Yes.
So
Yes.
everybody is trying to live somebody else's life, and nobody is trying to live their own life, right? So I think people also, students, you have to take a brute call. You have to take a very, very hard stop. Is this something which will give me happiness forever? It is something which I can be alive doing every night and day. If not, that's not the work for you. Then you better spend time to explore, check, explore what is that which makes me feel alive, which I really love and passionate to do, right? So I think that's a very important call, and especially parents should be very careful, because you can push the child today because he would listen to you, she will listen to you, but it's a great injustice to the future and the potential the child represents and what he or she can achieve in a way, right? So I think that's the point, in a way, would be.
Correct. Correct.
And for you as a teacher, Amit, I know it's a thing. Even for me, people come in and say, I want this. I know, but this is not the skill set you're matching with, right? So sometimes, no, we have those stuff. But I think then, but I still feel like, no, who are we to judge? So I still try to do my
Yes.
best to tell
Yes.
them,
Yes.
but then show them a path. Okay, this is the path. If you can walk on it, let's see. So, so
Uh,
that's the thing which I do in a
I
way.
would not name it, but there was this incident where I was in a situation of ethical dilemma. A parent from Solan district of Himachal Pradesh, he came to me and he said that, you see, I want my child to be an IS officer, and said that that's fantastic. But then says, sir, I wanted to talk to you, and he was insisting to talk to the one of the faculty members. So he came to me and said that, sir, I want my child to be an IS officer, but then you see, I'm selling my land to make him an IS officer, and if you will say yes to my child, only then we will get him admitted over here. And my counselors were like, you need to give him an admission. And I spoke to the child for 5 minutes, and I closed my door in my cabin. I told him that don't do this to your child. As of now, probably you should get him admitted to some banking coaching. Let him explore himself for another 5 6 months. If he does well, then he is always welcome here. But as of now, don't do this to yourself. So that was the day when actually my company became unhappy with me. But then I told myself that this is what it is. You're not doing business here because somebody comes and says something like this. Then be truthful at least. And so I did the right thing, not for the
Wow.
company obviously, but for the parent.
Right,
So
right.
I keep going across certain problems. So that is why I'm trying to design this problem, this particular course for parents, because you see,
Hmm.
when you try to train parents, they would say that don't try to teach me, try to teach my
Hmm.
child, try to teach them. Don't
Hmm.
teach me. I don't have time for it. I don't have
Right.
patience for it. And I say that your
Hmm.
learning is more important for the growth of your own child.
True,
Until
true.
unless you're trained, until unless you understand certain phenomenon, it is not going to happen. So I was very I would not say adamant, but I was very focused when I designed this 5 day program, where before I would take somebody in my course, I would interact with parents. I would try to tell them this is how it is going to happen. I would also
Hmm.
like to share with them that maybe your child is not mathematics genius, but then he or she does not have to be genius. Maybe
Exactly.
maybe they can explore some other areas. So my job
Yeah.
as a teacher would be giving a genuine advice to you and counseling to your child. But I
Right.
have been facing one problem here. When we try to diversify our course, it's like they say that you teach only mathematics and English and science. The moment we try to include subjects like critical thinking, and then spirituality, and then awareness, and then languages, they would say that, and music. They would say, no, don't do this, don't do this. We don't have that much time. We don't have that much patience. And they say that
Hmm.
that's good, that's very good for the holistic development of your child. But parents would
Right.
say, no, my child has to be good only in two things, maths and science all the time.
Right.
And so
Right.
this is so that is what that was my motive to start this particular program, where I interact with
Hmm.
parents and I set proper, and I would say that justifiable things before them, so that they understand what is going to happen here.
Hmm.
So that is one way where I would be ethical, doing my things, because I know that somebody can say that I came across one situation where a parent said that I you पैसे की कमी नहीं है, आप ये बताओ कि सी सेट में आप मेरे बच्चों को स्कोर दिला सकते हो क्या? I said, yes, we can do that. I can. No, no. He said that, no, no, no. I don't want you to teach him. I want you to
Hmm.
write the examination. And he said, "No, please don't do this." तो वो he उससे वापस पैसे की कमी नहीं है, लैक्स है, मतलब आपको कितना चाहिए बताओ, ये ब्लैंक चेक लो. I said, sir, I cannot do this. Please try to understand it. Maybe you have lakhs of crores of rupees of money, but then don't do this to your child at least. Today we have this communication, okay, but then what
Hmm.
kind of impression your child is going to have that by money he can buy anything and everything, which is
Yeah.
which
True.
is a very bad impression that you're putting across. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I believe that parents must be I would not say taught, but they should be trained, so that they can set up a realistic vision for their children.
True. Very true. Very true.
Mm.
Very true.
Thank you, Avinash Bhaiya. Thank you very much for that you took out some time for us.
No, no, Amit, any given day, I'm so happy that you're doing this work. And I'm sure like when once you are, they say, no, there's a saying, I don't know who has said this. There's a quote like this which says, genius is love into work. That's a genius, right? So if you are putting love in your work, or if you're doing what you love as a work, no
Correct.
person will be a genius. I see that in you and Misha both. It's a very remarkable thing to take this calls, and I think you're hitting the nail, because a lot of people think kids requires attention and thing, but more than kids, it's parents who needs to go through a change,
Yes.
because
Yes.
they don't realize the amount of conditioning they make the child go through by their projection of thoughts and emotions and kind of labels they give, and all the emotions they project to the children. Once the parents understand, I think children are born geniuses. They know how to exactly learn, grow, and things in life, right?
Yes.
So I think you're doing a very good thing. I think parents should understand, learn, and go through these things to maybe become more open-minded, to understand that child has a gift and that gift needs to be explored in a way.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you so much, Amit. Take care.
I wish you all the very best for all the, because I keep hearing about you that you take sessions all across India. And one day I will also be having an opportunity to
Right.
sit in your
Yeah.
classes, because I hear people getting very fantastic results out of your
Yeah.
courses. And I also recommend everybody whosoever is watching this video that you should go and take certain classes with Avinash sir, because we put our heart and soul in working, but then when we don't get result, we get frustrated rather than understanding
True.
why things are not working for us. So maybe
True.
the power of subconscious is not working for you, and this is where Avinash Bhaiya can help you a lot, a lot. I can say this.
Sure. Perfect, Amit. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thank
See
you.
you soon.
Take care.